Hi, this is Kara from the Special Needs Mom podcast.
And this is Angela from Especially Organized, Sensible Solutions for Special Needs Moms.
We have this heart for special needs moms. And so we thought, you know what, let's combine forces. And we have come up with what we're calling the Purge Party. And you can pretty much guess what it is. It's a party where we're going to come together and we're going to purge or, in general, accomplish a goal, a small goal together. So we have set this for January 27th, starting at 8 o'clock for my Pacific Coast people,
which means 11 o'clock for all of you on the East Coast. So this is an opportunity. If you have something on your to-do list that has just been stuck there and you are wanting to move it up on the list, you're wanting to tackle, maybe it's a space or an area of your home or a category in your home that has just needed a little time and attention. This is your opportunity for you to be online with us while you work and have access for us to help you answer your questions, help guide you, and just serve you for those 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you can tell like what we've designed is just this very high level of support for that project that you just haven't been able to tackle on your own. The thing that we are envisioning is that you get to leave this purge party feeling so accomplished because you did the thing. You started the year off getting that thing done that you were stuck on last year. And so it's a momentum builder, if you will. You can go ahead and sign up. We have a link ready for you, and we are offering this for $40 for the whole experience.
Absolutely. And we hope you'll join us. I think it's going to be really fun. It's going to be a great group of moms of special needs kids. So we all get each other. We all have an understanding of what it's like to have something on our to-do list, but just we haven't been able to tackle it yet. So I hope that you will join us. We're super excited to bring this to you, and we are thrilled to work with you.
All right. We'll see you all there. Hi, I'm Kara, life coach, wife, and mom to 4 incredible and unique children. It wasn't all that long ago that my son received a diagnosis that had my world come crashing down. I lacked the ability to see past the circumstances, which felt impossible, and the dreams I once had for my life and family felt destroyed. Fast forward past many years of surviving and not at all thriving, and you'll see a mom who trusts that she can handle anything that comes her way and has access to the power and confidence that once felt so lacking. I created the Special Needs Mom podcast to create connection and community with moms who find themselves feeling trapped and with no one who really understands. My intention is to spark the flare of possibility in your own life and rekindle your ability to dream. This isn't a podcast about your special needs child. This is a podcast about you. If you are a mom who feels anxious, alone, or stuck, then you are in the right place. Welcome. Hello and welcome to the Special Needs Mom podcast. I'm excited to bring to you another activation session. This session is with Dominique, and I was so privileged to have the conversation with her. This woman is just like amazing in terms of she got to tell me a little bit more of her story behind the scenes prior to the recording. And I learned that she cleverly figured out how to get herself through college. She served in the military, and she's now totally working on her doctorate degree. Oh, and by the way, on the side, she's opening up a care facility to support children like her daughter, Karma. I think you'll notice from getting to listen to her, she's very well accomplished, but so humble about it. And so what I want you to do as you listen along to this episode is I want you to notice areas where you might relate to Dominique, and also look at the opportunities that you have to apply the awareness and apply the action to activate your own life and to step one small step forward towards having the experience that you want in your life. And that's going to be different for everybody, but Dominique was looking for less anxiety and worry and less overwhelm. And I know all of you probably relate to that at some level. All right. Well, you're going to get to learn a little bit more about Dominique in the episode, so we're going to get right to it. Enjoy listening to this activation session. Dominique, it's a pleasure to meet you. Welcome to your activation session.
Hello, Kara. I'm happy to be here. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. Let's start just with a quick snapshot context so that as people listen to you in your session, they just have a little bit of a picture about where you're coming from. So give us a quick snapshot of your picture in life, perhaps the ages of your children, perhaps a little bit about the disabilities that you parent, and, what your life looks like on a daily basis.
I am a mom to 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. Damari, who is 25. He's my bonus baby, but he's my baby. He's been with me since he was 4 years old. And then I have Giovanni, who is 19. He'll be 20 next month. And he was my preemie baby. He was my first biological child, and he was born at 28 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And then I have Karma, who is 17. This is technically her senior year. She'll be 18 in August. And she is the one who I says changed everything, my entire outlook on life. And she was born with a chromosome deletion, 1p36. And then we have the boss, Logan.
That's hilarious.
She is 6 years old, and she is definitely the boss of everybody. She was my sunshine that I didn't even know I needed. And she definitely keeps me going and keeps me grounded. And well, they all do. But the last one, she definitely puts a light under my butt. They are all great kids. They're all very different. They're my life. And, I'm so grateful that God chose me to be their mom. Karma was diagnosed with 1p36 at about 12 months. Well, while I was pregnant, we were undergoing many tests because when we were doing ultrasounds and things, there were just things popping up. First, it was her heart, then it was her kidneys, and everything just didn't look right. But when we would go to the specialist, they would say, "Hey, I don't see anything."
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very stressful experience because I had no clue what was going on. Amniocentesis and all these other tests were coming back normal. So finally, they said that they thought she had something called hydrocephalus because it looked like she had water on her brain, and her head looked bigger. So that's what I was preparing for, was hydrocephalus. When she was born, the doctor came in to look at her, and he looked at her dad. He looked at her. He said she does not have hydrocephalus. She has her dad's head. So, I was relieved at that point. But then she failed the hearing test at the hospital. So when she failed the hearing test, that was a red flag. Hey, okay, why did she fail the hearing test? Also, when I had her, another red flag was they gave me a due date of August 9th. I had her August 2nd, but the nurse came and she said, "Oh, you have a preemie." And I'm like, "No, I don't." So apparently they were saying that she was 8 weeks early. Not a clue. Yeah, that's still a mystery to me. So that's when everything began. We took her to audiology, confirmed she had a hearing loss. And then we went to search where the hearing loss came from, why she had this hearing loss. And we started to see that she wasn't meeting her milestones. The search began to see, what was going on. She was about to be 1, so 11 months. And the geneticist called, and he said that he wanted to see us, and he told us what he found, and we went in, and I remember him saying, "Do not spoil her." And I'm like, "What do you mean don't spoil her?" He's like, "Don't spoil her." And I'm like, "Okay." She's spoiled. But
that's great.
I'm gonna rewind. Yes, I'm gonna rewind to when I was pregnant with her. The doctor that I had, I won't say his name, but this doctor suggested that I terminate my pregnancy, not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Wow.
And he told me that Karma was going to be a vegetable. His words. He said she's not going to talk, she's not going to walk, she's not going to do anything. I was so young. I was 19 years old. So I still, at 19, said, "Yeah, I don't care what this guy says, I'm not doing that." That's when I just said, "Okay, whatever happens, and I'm just gonna go ahead and, take care of my baby." As I said, she's very spoiled. She's walking. She's considered nonverbal, but she is using some words.
Mm-hmm.
She gets her point across very well. And Karma is anyone that meets her, I don't care what type of day you're having. If you meet Karma, you're going to get a smile on your face. You're going to have a smile on your face. And everyone says, why did you name her Karma? I say, because she's my good karma. She's the good karma for the world. The moment I saw her, I was like, yeah, we're going to name her Karma. It was like, well, karma, everybody's like, karma, what goes around comes around. I'm like, yeah, you do good, you get good. You do bad, you get bad. So it's your choice. So that's why I chose to name her Karma. And,
I'm impressed that at age 19, you had that ability to see that perspective of what she would be to this world. And really, I see her name as a declaration of who she would be. So beautiful. Wow.
Yes.
And so thank you for sharing a little bit of the picture. And in addition to being a mother, you're also a veteran and also an entrepreneur. So tell us a little bit about just kind of a day in the life of you as a businesswoman.
Well, so it's very hectic. It's very, very hectic. You know, I know a lot of people aspire to be entrepreneurs. And when I went in, I was like, you know, I'll have more time to spend with my family. I'll have more flexibility. And the reality is, I don't have more time.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a bit more flexibility than if I was just, you know, doing a traditional 9 to 5. But being an entrepreneur is very demanding. I also, well, I'm a serialpreneur, as my mom would call me, because she says, you're doing too much. So I have a couple of other businesses as well. There are things that I love to do, so I don't look at them as work, but it can become very overwhelming, especially when I don't have a lot of support with Karma. But I always said that I was going to always try to be the best version of me for my children and for myself. So I try to not forget myself. A lot of times I lack at remembering myself, but I'm trying to do better in remembering myself, because if I don't remember myself, I can't be good for anybody. And I definitely want to be the best for my children.
I like that language of remembering myself. There's something about that that's unique. I just think it shows the commitment that you have to taking care of yourself. It's not a question of if you should or if you deserve it. It's more a matter of like, oh, sometimes I just forget. Well, thank you for that quick snapshot. You have a lot on your plate, I think, is the point here. And you shared with me a little bit about what you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis. And you shared that worry and anxiety are front runners and overwhelm. And so share with us a little bit about how you experience this worry, anxiety, and overwhelm.
Well, the first thing is with Karma. I worry a lot. I am what I consider myself to be a prayer warrior, because I pray about everything. But I do, and I know they say you're not supposed to, the 2 and 2 don't go hand in hand. But just because my other kids, when they come home, I can say, how was your day? You know, what did you do in school today? And I can't do that with Karma. But I've learned to read her a little bit. So I know if she doesn't like somebody. I know if she's uncomfortable in a situation. I can't just say, hey, Karma, what happened? Why don't you like this person? Or, you know, I don't know if it's because they're giving her a task and they're being stern and saying, hey, Karma, you have to do this. Or if it's because they're mistreating her. You know, I don't know what it is. So it causes a lot of anxiety, and I worry a lot about her. And, you know, every night I pray for all of my kids, but I pray a little harder for Karma just because she can't communicate with me the way that my other children can. And I think just being a mother, period, when you send your kids out into the world, you hope for good things. You hope that they're working with people that are amazing and have their best interests at heart, but you just never know. You never know. And it's very hard. I also have 2 sons, and, you know, there has been a lot of things going on in the world with Black men. And now my sons are going from boys to men. So that's something that I worry about a lot, because they're amazing kids. They're, well, they're young men now, but they're amazing and they're very intelligent, and they're, you know, some people may see that as a threat. I have to constantly remind them of the world that we live in and just tell them to be who they are, but just be mindful of their surroundings. That's something that I worry about also. But like I said, I think parents worry. I know moms probably worry the most, but parents
That's a lot to carry. What do you experience in overwhelm? How do you know when you're overwhelmed?
I know when I'm overwhelmed because I literally feel like it's just this rushing sensation. Like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. My body is just like, and sometimes I can't catch my breath. Sometimes I feel dizzy. And for a while, I didn't know what it was. And then I was at doing a photo shoot for one of my other businesses. And I'm like, what is going on? And I was like, okay, let me eat something. Let me sit down. Let me breathe. And then I was fine. So I'm like, okay, there's too much going on. My anxiety is kicking in because I had never experienced that before.
Mm-hmm.
I know I had been told that I had anxiety, but I never had an anxiety attack or anything. I just always was doing, to me, weird stuff. Like, I would drive by Karma's school to make sure she didn't get out of school. Like, she's in school, Dominique. Why are you worried if she's in a field? But that's something that Karma would like. She used to just open the door and go for a random walk. So now my whole house is on lockdown. And I just identifying these things, and I'm just like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. So I know once I get that feeling like that, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Like, okay, you need to breathe. You need to take a second.
I can so relate to that feeling. I want to switch from where you are now, and I want to look to the future. I want you to imagine your life 6 months from now. If everything goes your way, if you really, let's say tackle, that's not the right word. If you really create tools and ways to manage your anxiety and overwhelm and let go of the worry, describe to me what you would see in this future version of you.
So in the future version of me, I would see, I think if I was able to manage my time differently, but with managing my time, I would need the proper support to manage my time. And those are some things that I'm trying to work on now to help me with different things so I can complete different tasks so I don't feel so overwhelmed. Because when I'm trying to do things at home, I can never really get anything done because, my other kids are off doing their own thing and Karma constantly needs me. She may go off for 5-10 minutes in her room, but then she comes back and she needs me. So I constantly have to stop what I'm doing, which draws out everything. So I'm sitting here writing a paper that should take me 2 hours, and now it's taking me 7 hours because I constantly have to stop and, make sure she's good and get what she needs, versus even my 6-year-old is to the point where she can go get herself a snack, or she can go use the bathroom, or she can, cut on a show, or, can just pop in and say, hey, mom, can I da-da-da-da? And I'll say, yeah. And she can go do what she needs to do. So I think creating a space where I can get everything done that I need to get done. I have the proper support. I can have the time, manage my time effectively because I have the support to say, hey, I need 2 hours to do this. And someone says, okay, I have this block of 2 hours where I can take Karma and you can get that done. So just a simple thing like folding laundry. When I come in the house and see a whole bunch of laundry, I get anxiety. And I'm like, I need to do this, but then I have to do this and I have to do that. And it's just a lot. In 6 months, I hope that I'm able to really just enjoy my children without all the extra that I have, without all the anxiety, without all the feeling overwhelmed, which I've accepted that my life is different. I'm absolutely fine with that. But I just want to be able to be in a space where I'm not feeling that anxiety, that worry, that overwhelmed feeling, where I'm like, okay, this is what has to get done. I know this has to get done. So I'm already on it. I already have a plan and I don't have those extra feelings because I feel like that weighs me down and makes it so much harder to get things done. And I've still been successful at things, but it's been much harder when I'm trying to juggle those things in there too.
Oh, yeah. So what I hear is that 6 months down the line in the future, what you see is really having a strong and successful structure in place so that you have the support that you need so that for you, you can really focus on your work when you're focusing on your work. And then you can focus on your children when you're focusing on your children. And that for you, the experience would be that you can enjoy your children differently. You're 100% accurate when you describe the experience of you trying to do all of this with the anxiety, like a monkey on your back. And you're right. It is so much harder when we're doing this with anxiety and overwhelm. It is something that is a killer of that peace and presence. And I would say the experience that you described in anxiety, I would also use the word groundedness for what you're showing in terms of what you're describing in your future. Does that sound accurate?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, great. There's the evolution of a special needs mom is just a pathway that I have described as I see the journey of a special needs mom. And to me, it sounds like you're pretty solid in what I now call the rebellion, but I used to call the chaos. And it's this phase where you take the chaos in your mind and you quiet it, you calm it, you give it peace. And I call it the rebellion because I think we get to this certain point where it's not like you want to change everything in your life. Like you share a strong acceptance for your life, for your daughter, for all of your children. So that's not what you're resisting against, which is kind of some part of the earlier phases. For you, it's actually this next step is into kind of settling your mind and your body to be able to kind of create this ground where you essentially get to live with more peace, more presence, and essentially more possibility. That's the next step. That's stage 5. Any questions or comments about the stage that I see you in?
Well, okay. So I don't think we said anything about this yet, but within the groundedness, I feel like I'm always going to be going through the phases of grief.
Yeah.
I feel like this is something that I'm always going to, we as special moms are always going to do. So sometimes I'm fine, and then sometimes I'm not. I want to be in a place where I can identify something, like I see that during milestones, it hits me very hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, like, graduation is going to be coming up soon for everyone, and to find ways to help me get through that time versus I know I'm going to cry, but I don't want to isolate myself as much as I usually do, because that's what I'll do. I'll isolate myself. And since I was so far from everyone in Texas, it was very easy to do. But now I'm right with all my family. So it might not be that easy to do. And I don't want to make them feel like I'm being standoffish or I don't want to be bothered with them. And I know that no one immediately around me understands what I'm going through. I know that there are other people, that understand, but I don't have anybody in my direct circle who, is going through or has gone through what I'm going through. In the future, I hope to be able to cope with that a little better and find ways to be okay, to be in the space where I'd be like, okay, I know this is coming. Like, I've identified all the things that I know are going to trigger me, even though I know other things are going to come, that may trigger me sporadically, but I know like graduation is going to trigger me. I know college graduations are going to trigger me. I know seeing people's kids are getting married and having their own kids is going to trigger me. So I know these things are going to trigger me. But some days I'll just walk down the street and see kids walking together and just talking and being kids, and I'm crying because, Karma won't get to do that. Something that she's probably never going to be able to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I see grief for moms like us. There's this interwovenness that we experience. Like you're saying, these milestones or these birthdays really kind of are the ones that have that grief more exposed. And then in other times it's less exposed. And I'm thinking about this for you in terms of your anxiety as well. And sometimes anxiety is less about what we have to do and more of an experience of underlying emotions that have not been processed. Because sometimes, or many times I should say, anxiety is very vague. So if you're feeling this anxiousness or this overwhelm experience, like that dizzying feeling, If I asked you in those moments, hey, what's wrong? My guess is that you would not be able to clearly articulate exactly what was going on. Oftentimes, it is these underlying emotions that our body is telling us, I'm not sure we're okay right now. And I ultimately see the symptom of calm the chaos or the rebellion is actually that lack of support, that you've worked really hard to get to where you're at, yet you don't yet have a luxurious amount of support in your life. And I use that word intentionally. Sometimes it feels like, oh, that's too much. But actually, that's what I want us to shoot for in terms of the level of support that you have in your life. So what I heard for you, one of the missing pieces in creating this future that you want, where you're grounded, you're able to navigate the waves of grief as they come. Here's some suggestions on some next steps. I see ultimately super support, like super supported. And for you, that might look like a brainstorm, a brain dump of all the things that you would put in place in your life to create support. So, I heard you talk about laundry. I heard you talk about obviously having care for your daughter, Karma, while you were trying to work. What she didn't mention is that she's working on her doctorate while she's working what I assume is full-time, plus all of her entrepreneurial items, right? So having support so that you know that you have sacred space to get your work done. Support in the areas of grief, like what is missing for you that, and these are the thought process that I would you can go back and listen to this as you're doing this. What is missing for you to be able to say, I am fully supported in processing my grief and owning my grief, that is an integrated part of your life rather than a part that perhaps is producing anxiety. Okay, so with the list idea, what did you hear? What did you hear in terms of the work to take on with creating what we're going to call for now a super support list?
Sounds like I need to seek a plan that's going to help me through every day, basically. I feel like I may be one of those people that doesn't really ask for help because I'm the person that everybody comes to for help. So, and I think people look at me, I get this all the time. You're so strong. How do you do all this? How do you da 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 da? And meanwhile, I just cried for 10 minutes before I came in here because, yeah. So I think just, identifying what I really need.
Yeah.
From that list and, putting a plan into place and then executing that plan to see how it makes me feel and how it connects with my life.
Beautiful. And I'll put a couple things in here. Thank you for calling yourself out on perhaps being one of those people that doesn't ask for a lot of help. I think a lot of people are in that boat. It's very vulnerable, I find, to ask for help. So this is where I think as you create this list and generate this super support list, the thing I want you to really constrain yourself to do is to intentionally think about the what in terms of what you need in terms of support instead of the how. And I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean by that. So many times when I'm working with different teams, or of course with the Pathway to Peace community, when we look at creating something that we don't currently have, our mind automatically tries to figure out how before it will even dream about the what. And so what happens is you create a much smaller possibility in future. But I want to make sure that anybody listening can also take this on for themselves, because we often get mixed up in the what versus how. Just to kind of review the steps that I'm inviting you to. So first, you're going to generate the super support list. And this is just a brain dump. This is, just putting out there what would be amazing in terms of having support. Watching yourself for really focusing on the what and worrying about the how later. Clearly tackle one at a time. But I would make sure that you're doing it through the lens of being willing to step into areas of discomfort. And what I mean by that is you've shared, it's really uncomfortable for you to ask for help, or perhaps you didn't say that exactly. You said you don't ask for help. My guess is that it's pretty uncomfortable. Really look at how you're being about how you generate this list and intentionally stepping past where you've probably always stopped. Because if we look at a pattern, if we look back, we probably see a real clear pattern. And so really what this list is the start of is breaking the old patterns. My guess is also there might be an opportunity to really decide what you're doing and not doing, and constraining the things that you're really committed to. Because recognizing that it's sometimes easier to say yes to everything and takes a different energy to say no and allow yourself to step into the peace of actually that boundary. Okay. Any questions about those steps?
No, they sound doable.
Doable. Good.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that. Okay. So now here's where I will invite you to some accountability. So are you willing to declare a time in which this list will be completed? Meaning that you can choose any time in the future, but when will you have done the first brainstorm of this list?
I think I can brainstorm. I'll give myself about a week to brainstorm, just get everything down that I can think of. Yeah.
Okay,
So I'll try
awesome.
to do that a week from today. Finish that.
Okay. Well, we're recording this on a Monday, so it'll be next Monday, and I will check in with you. And thank you for being willing to make that commitment. Any other questions as we wrap up and send you on your way to dream of this super support in your future?
I don't think so. You broke everything down very, very well.
Good. Well, it's the first step, right? And that's all we have to worry about right now. Sometimes things can get overwhelming. When our brain's prone to overwhelm, sometimes we try to think of all the steps at one time. And all you got to do is this step right now. We don't have to worry about anything in the future. So thank you so much, Dominique. I thoroughly enjoyed being witness to the way that you approach life. And really what stood out to me as you're sharing is just like the courage that you've had each step along the way. I'd say courage and trust, balancing along the way. And I'm so thrilled that you have chosen to create this support home, this home for other kids like your daughter. Perhaps we can celebrate that when it's open together. And I look forward to following up with you and hearing how this support is changing your life.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this. Thank you from all the parents everywhere who you have helped. I just couldn't be more thankful just to connect, with someone who can relate to anything that I feel.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing thing. And I'm going to speak for us all. We're very grateful for you. Very, very grateful for you, and appreciate you so much. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. I received that. And that for me is a really beautiful way to start the week. All right. Well, we'll see y'all in the next episode. One more thing before we officially wrap up this show. Sometimes when I'm listening to podcasts, I have the experience of wanting more. I'm listening at the very end thinking, I sure wish that episode didn't end. I invite you, if you feel in any way the same way, I invite you to the Special Needs Mom podcast community, which is a free group that I host on Facebook, where we as a community of fellow moms who listen to this podcast and are experiencing life in similar shoes get to talk to one another, get to share stories, get to actually interact. I hope you'll consider joining. See you over there.